Hey guys, this is StomaDad here. I got a chance to interview the wonderful Candy Samples last week for Pride, and was so thankful that she was able to take some time out of her busy Pride schedule to do a little video with me, a little interview. We talk about her ileostomy and what it means in her performance and outside of drag, what that actually means, how it affects everyday life. I hope you enjoy this. She's out of New York. She's a wonderful philanthropist and entrepreneur and just a perfect soul. So here we go. All right, for someone meeting Miss Candy Samples for the first time, how would you describe her in 3 words?
A good Presbyterian woman.
And that is what everybody needs, I tell you. So, what's the difference between candy samples on stage and the candy samples at home?
Well, this is the non camera ready. So
You look beautiful.
this
Don't
is
worry about
oh, thank you.
it.
This is what I call the man behind the curtain today. But there's not much difference. I think that's the charm of Candy is she's an extension of Will and just maybe a little amped up.
Okay, all right. That sounds like fun. I wish I could see one of your shows. I'd love to see that sometime.
Come to New York and or maybe I'll take a tour to Costa Rica.
Hey, we'll talk at the end of the chat here. All right, but your name alone sounds like it comes with sequins, snacks, and possibly a warning label. So where did candy samples come from?
I was uh, created. I participated in an AIDS benefit pageant in 1995 in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was the Miss Pool Slut pageant, and we were given our name and our title. So I was Candy Samples Miss Hershey Kisses,
Ah,
and and
I
I
love it.
won. I won the pageant, and it was evening wear, swimwear, and talent, all
Mm.
amateur drag, and I, was a very uh, uh, ambitious 19-year-old, and I won the pageant, and
All right.
it was
What was
it
what
was
was
at a
your
private
talent?
home, and my talent, I did a lip sync, which I'm horrible at. But I did a lip sync of a song from City of Angels, a
Oh,
Broadway musical called
yeah.
"You Can Always Count on Me," and
Oh, great song.
and I passed out little Hershey Kisses with little cards that said "You can always count on me," Candy Samples, and
Perfect. That's a good marketing tool there.
and so I branding, was the thing, and but I did that. I did my evening wear, did my swimwear,
Mm.
and yeah, and looked like the little Hollywood diva, um,
Okay.
middle aged beauty, and people loved it. So
Yeah, I love when you can create a persona like that and carry it through. So, what is the most candy samples thing that has ever happened to you during a show?
I, during a show, I would
Yeah.
say I have been known to, especially back in the day, I used to indulge quite a bit and and do shots during the show. And I think Candy was known for being she'd get a little too loosey goosey.
Yeah,
they they used to have names for the different the the different levels of my sobriety, and they would call me Sandy Campbell's and
ah,
Mandy Tramples, and
ah. But that was back in the day,
they used
when you were a little bit younger for that.
Exactly, exactly. I did in New York. I started as a karaoke hostess,
Yeah, oh, I love
so
that. At karaoke.
it was a it was a Coyote Ugly was the thing at the
Hey.
time. It was that crowd. We were in our 20s.
Okay.
It was the bar life. We were a little wilder. I've calmed myself down and I do a lot of community work now. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
right
still
about
like
that.
to have fun.
Yeah, you have to, you got to let your hair down every once in a while, right?
Or take it off,
Okay.
occasionally.
So what still makes you laugh? Even on a hard day, what is it that still makes you laugh or giggle?
Gosh, you know, I uh, that's a good question. What makes me laugh? I think myself. I try not to take myself too seriously. Um, I have to laugh. I always say I have two speeds. I'm either laughing or I'm crying,
Yeah.
and I'm very extreme. So I'm never in the I'm dealing right now with a lot of medical PTSD and
Yeah.
whatnot. So
Yeah, that's a hard thing to get through and stuff. And having laughter, it really helps. And crying, it clears you, it
mhm.
purifies you, I think. And so yeah, well, at least you got some laughing, right? So
Exactly. Listen, I can always crack myself up.
well, hey, here's a good question for you. So you've been called the Queen of the Bears. So what
Mhm.
does that title mean to you?
Uh, well, I used to go to New Orleans every year for a party called Southern Decadence. And I would go down there and I would hang out with the Bears and have the best time. And when I was working on taking Candy um, a little further and not just hosting karaoke and trying to do original music and whatnot, it was the bear community that really supported me
Yeah,
and and gave me permission, didn't give me permission, but reminded me that I could do whatever I wanted and I could be in the bear community and be a drag queen.
yeah,
And I remember distinctly having a conversation where I thought, well, I have to have chest hair if I want to be in the bear community, but I have to shave it off when I have a gig,
yeah.
and I don't, and then I have to try to grow it back for Southern Decadence, and this was it really what this weighed on me. I had such anxiety about, am I showing, am I presenting, Barry enough, and
Right, right.
they said just go be you.
Yeah, well, I remember the first time well, I guess I could say I'm old enough to know when the bear community first formed. And I had the same issue. My husband calls me a Mexican hairless. I
Mhm.
I just have no hair. And here I am with the bear community and they're calling me an otter, and I had no idea what the heck that even meant. But the one thing I realized with the bear community is that there was little to no attitude with them. And I think that's what makes them such a wonderful group?
It really, I mean, now we talk about body positivity and
Yeah.
those things, and I think the bear community was one of the first.
Oh yeah, because
Um,
the gay community can be horrible on that at times? There's a
they
lot of queer
sure
pressure
can.
out there. Yeah.
There is.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's talk about your drag performances and in the 90s. What do you remember most about those early days? Or do you
Well,
remember those early days?
it was a little so I did not follow any trajectory of like the RuPaul girls or any of that. We
Yeah.
didn't have that. We didn't have the internet. I was 19 when I started, and I went to a performing arts college. So I took Candy and did shows at school.
Okay.
Um, and, and then I would go with my friends, some other drag queen friends. We would go to clubs because they would let us in. We'd get through the line. Drag queen. This was the '90s, and
Right.
club culture was big, and the drag queens would get in for free, and we wouldn't
Yeah.
get carded.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's how we went into clubs. This was in Boston,
Oh, it's
and
in Boston, huh?
Yeah, I
Okay.
went to Emerson College in Boston.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, those the 90s were quite some time. I'm glad I got to experience those too. And you're right. Back then there was no RuPaul plan of action to get you notarized. You had to actually work your butt off to get up there. And I'm not saying the RuPaul girls don't work their butt off. They do. But there's like a set stepping stone for them, you know? Where back in the
Right.
90s, it was kind of like you just go out there and do it. I mean, even
You
RuPaul
just,
will say that.
yeah, we found the gigs, we found the drag. I was in Boston, so I had Filene's basement, and and that was in the basement of Filene's, like it was the real Filene's
Ah,
basement, and I
wow.
got some great stuff
Oh, that's
there. But
fantastic.
Candy's a woman of a certain age, so she's always been kind of the mother of the bride look. So
That's awesome. Hey, well, so you're not just a drag performer, though. You're also a singer and songwriter, right?
yes, yes, I am.
So
So
when did you realize that music was part of Candy's voice?
I was dabbling in, well, say I was always a singer songwriter. I'd always as my boy persona. Um, I wanted to be the next Debbie Gibson
Ah,
when I was 13, 14, 15. And that was my goal in life. That did not work out. I ended up going to school studying theater um, and kind of put music on the back burner. But then when I started doing drag, I realized live singing was more my forte.
yeah.
Um, and I needed material that was original or that was special to me. And I just started incorporating some of my older stuff that I'd written. And when I was a teenager, and then started writing
Okay.
more, and it just kind of happened. It was very there was one moment where I did a show, and it was we were doing a benefit. There was a gay bashing in our neighborhood. There
Ooh.
was a act of violence, and so we were doing this kind of community gathering, and I was the entertainment, and it was at our local bar, Albatross, and my pianist backed out at the last minute, and he couldn't do the gig, and so I was there with my keyboard, and I said, "Well, the only stuff I know how to play is my original stuff." So I
Yeah.
did all this old stuff of mine,
Wow.
and everybody was like, "That was good. You should do that." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I should." So
Well, good
that
for
was it.
you. I mean, you took a bad thing into a good thing, you know? So that's a good way of turning it around. And, I have to say, I was following you for a little bit on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. And then when I started realizing you're a singer-songwriter, I went and downloaded some of your music so I could hear it. And I really
Uh-huh.
enjoyed it. You've got a wonderful voice. It's like I call it a musical theater voice. I mean, you've got this great, and the piano skills. Is that you on piano?
That's me on piano.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, you're so good. So how did you come
Thank
up with that
you.
song Green Bean Casserole? It's
Green
wonderfully
bean
specific
casserole.
title. What's the story behind that song? It's awesome.
Okay. I love um I love camp. And when
Yeah.
I moved to New York, I met lots of people from, different ethnic groups and different uh, regions. And I would cook and I would make my Southern stuff.
Okay.
And I love Americana. I love a good casserole.
Yeah.
And I would literally make green bean casserole for friends, and they would say, "Oh my gosh, I've never had this. This is white people food, or so." And they said, "Oh, but you put cheese in it, and it's so good." And and they would ask me, bring it at Thanksgiving and whatnot. And I said, this is my milkshake. This is what brings all the boys to the yard. I'm going to
Right.
write a song about it. And my collaborator, Jesse Sklar, um, we talked about it for a long time. I said, we're writing a song called Green Bean Casserole. And he said, okay, I don't know what that's about. I hate green beans. And I sat down at work one day. I was covering for a receptionist for their lunch break, and I just sat at the computer and that literally I write all different ways, but I
Right.
just wrote the lyric from start to finish, and
Wow.
then I sent it. And I found it because it's on the Google Drive.
Okay.
So it was written in I think 2007, and I sent it to Jesse and Jesse Sklar, and I said, "Here are the lyrics. Give me a track." And he came up with something. And we
All right.
write all different ways. And I
Yeah.
write some stuff solo, and I work with other people. But sometimes music comes first, sometimes it's the lyrics.
Right. Well, being a creative person like that, you do. You work in multiple formats, and things come before the other one, and then eventually they just mesh together. And
Mhm.
I think you've done such a wonderful job with that too. I was really quite impressed. There wasn't just one album or one song. There was a few albums and a couple, remix, like dance remix songs, which I really got into because I'm a house music guy. So,
Okay, so you like the
so, so
Fair Season and Sweet Scandal and
those are
all of the.
fun.
Yeah.
And it made it lifted my spirit. It was one of those songs that you could just kind of carry with you and just kind of lift your spirits in. So I thank you for doing those because as a person who's just discovered this, I'm enjoying it. And I love
Oh,
bringing joy into the life of everybody and myself. So,
I think we all need some joy, and I think as ostomates, I think that we often. I know I do. I'm 2.5 years in, so I'm
yeah,
fairly new um, to the life, and I need to find moments of joy, and being able to have candy, and to do the work that I do and to share the music is a way to
it
get
helps.
myself a little joy.
It does. It took me a while as an ostomate also to kind of get back to life. I'm 3 years maybe now. No, wait, that's 3 years, 4 years cancer. Had 2 years worth of cancer, and then I got the all clear, the radiation and the chemotherapy, and then it came back, and then that's when I got my ostomy. So I had like 3 years of dealing with it, and then you love your family, you love your friends. Um, the one line I've always hated was, well, just get over it. Well, you can't just get over it. You got to find your life again. And I'm
Yeah,
assuming that having candy in your life, this candy wrappers, Miss Candy Samples are, that you're
candy
able to.
wrappers. This is my AIDS walk team.
That's what
The
I
candy
remember reading
wrappers.
that.
Yeah.
But having that will do that, I think. So let me ask you this question then. What do you think younger drag performers should know about building a career beyond one viral moment?
Oh, I like that question.
Yeah,
It's not a race. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
not a sprint.
Um, you've got to evolve. You've got to allow some things to happen organically. I think nowadays I think we see a system that maybe is a little more paint by numbers. We need
Yeah.
followers, we need social media, we need, what, write a song or make a video and maybe it bombs. I'm still waiting for bear season to take off. I thought bear season was Hollywood was going to call,
Ah,
you know,
well,
and
you never know. It might.
it, it it might. That song's been out a long time. But
Well,
it just I thought it would just go so viral and whatnot. And you gotta. It has humbled me.
yeah.
I love what I do, and sometimes it's fun to be the best kept secret. I
Yeah, there you go.
mean, you know what? It's nice. I'm known in my neighborhood. I'm known in the community, but I can go to the grocery store, so
Yeah, that's
that's a
something to say
plus.
about that. That's something
Yep.
Madonna can't do.
Yes. I know. I tell you, I went out. I went out. So Friday, I found out a friend of mine had passed, and who was battling cancer, and I was having a little bit of a moment, and so I went tied one on, and
Yeah.
and I went and I was flirting. There was this cute bear, and I was being a little flirty, and he goes, "Aren't you candy samples?"
Oh no.
And I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Yeah,"
See, you're known.
I
There
was
you
like,
are.
exactly this pillar of the community.
You're gonna have to start wearing one of those hoods over your face with the dark
I
glasses, the big ones when you go out, right?
exactly. I'm in disguise. But I thought it was funny. I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah.
But
Hey.
it's fun.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, sometimes I find with the younger group, it's this instant gratification they're all looking for. And to me, and I'll admit it, even as an older guy, it feels good when you start seeing your numbers climb on social media. It really does. Um, but I think you and I both understand that quality is worth the commitment and it's also worth the longevity. And if you're going to do something, you take it on and you really harness it and you fine tune it like you've been doing, you know?
And I think that's why I have been so slow on TikTok,
Yeah.
because I that's a different to curate a video to go on TikTok is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work,
It is.
and so I'm more of an Instagram or really Facebook is my, just put it out there real quick.
Yeah, but
But I'm learning.
that's where all the old people are on Facebook.
I've done Facebook. I know that's what my cousin said to me, and I said, "Oh,
I
oh."
know. I had to suck it up finally and get onto TikTok to get things moving along, and it did. And you're right. It does take a lot of work, but hey, let's switch for just a little moment here. I want to talk about your activism because you have done a lot of work out in your community, like you've been talking about, between HIV and the bike rides out there.
Mhm.
So, you often talk about using your powers for good. So what does that phrase mean to you now, though? Especially now that you're an ostomate? How does that really kind of tie in together now?
Well, Powers for Good was it's a song
Uh-huh.
that I wrote, and I wrote it actually. It was a friend of mine spent his vacation time each year working at a camp for children affected by HIV/AIDS.
Wow.
And this is before I was doing the AIDS work. And I was just really enamored with that, and that he was taking his vacation time. And, you get 2 weeks every year. And he was taking that time 1 week to do training and 1 week to do the camp. And I just thought that was so noble, and it inspired me to do some stuff. So actually, Powers for Good inspired me to get out there and do it myself. So I actually wrote a song that I followed. I practiced what I preached,
Okay.
and it keeps me honest. So
Yeah. It feels good when I have my ex brought me into the community as far as giving back,
mhm.
and when I started participating with them, you know, it just brings on this wealth of satisfaction that I don't think any money can really deliver, you know?
Well,
It's go
what
ahead.
I love about doing the AIDS work, or doing Breaking AIDS Ride, doing uh, AIDS Walk, is it helps to eliminate the stigma with
Yeah.
HIV. And I grew up. My father contracted HIV. He was hemophiliac. He took blood products. He was diagnosed in '88. He died in '91. Um, there was a lot of stigma. There was We didn't talk about it, and
Yeah.
it is so great to work with other people on a common goal. To that we want to end AIDS, or we want to
Right.
eliminate stigma, or we want to spread the word about U equals U, and um, undetectable is untransmittable,
Right.
and PrEP and PEP and all of the things. And now we have these game changers out there.
Right. We
And
do.
and we get to share stories and of the people we that we miss, and we get to create new families.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what's been so wonderful for me, and that's why I continue to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
You
it
know,
became much bigger than what I could ever imagine.
yeah, AIDS and or HIV is not a death sentence anymore,
No.
and it's something that the stigma that was built up around it in the 80s and 90s needs to be broken. When I was riding my bicycle a lot and I was doing the AIDS rides or I'd always ride with, positive peddlers because it's all about breaking the stigma. And that's the
Hmm.
biggest thing right now. It's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to worry about. You can get help and you can thrive again.
Hmm. It's great. I did a thing for Pause Pads
Oh,
years ago. And I did this thing. And I'm not a cyclist or anything, but they put me in. It was they had us. It was it was supposed to be cyclist, but
right.
I said, oh, whatever. It was a bunch of my friends from the AIDS ride, and we modeled underwear for
Ah,
Dirty Fit. It was
ah,
Davy Wavy, I think his brand, and
fun.
we were in some magazines. But it was so funny because I said, "Well, you want Will to do this?" And they said, "Yeah, we want Will." And then when I showed up to the shoot, um, the the stylist and makeup artist said, "You know, you are very pretty. Can I paint you up in girl makeup?" And
Ah,
I said,
yeah,
"You know,
yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
drag queen.
no, no.
I would have brought my stuff." So we did this like this gender bend thing for
Right.
it. It was cute, but I'm
Oh,
actually very proud of doing that. I know that I was cast in it because I'm a little bearish as far as physique. So we had different body types,
yeah.
and but it was before I had my stoma, so I have a I have a shirtless photo, to
Oh.
document.
It's funny that you say that too, because before my stoma, I'm kind of bearish too, as you can see right now. But I was physical, and I worked out the gym a lot, and I was bigger and tougher and stuff like that. Um, and I found one of the hardest things for me to deal with when I got my stoma was, what am I going to wear? What fits now? What I've got this bag stuck to me, so now I got to try to work around it. And what's prompted me to start StomaDad was the lack of content out there that I can find of older men or women, or even the LGBT community I've been looking for. Um, any kind of information about, what to do after the surgery. How do you go on with your life? How do you pick out clothes now? And things like that. Or one of the hardest things for me to do was to go swimming again.
I
And I don't know if you saw
haven't
that
been.
video of me, but I ended up falling into the pool.
I
So,
know I didn't see that. I'll have to watch it. I haven't gone swimming yet,
oh, you have
and
it.
I
Okay.
haven't. And I used to be a swimmer when I was young.
And it's
Um,
so hard because you go to these places. I mean, you're probably out in Fire Island or something like that, these little
no,
resort areas.
no.
Not
I'm not
anymore?
doing. No, I never was. That was never. I'm very fair skinned. I'm not a beach person.
Oh, okay. Because with me, it was Palm Springs, and it was going to Mexico or going even to Russian River and stuff like that. And there was always a
Yeah.
pool, or your gay friends had the pool party. And so you went and you swam, you did that. So now it's like, you got this stoma bag now, and it's like, how do you move past it? And it took a lot. And you
I'm
find
gonna I'm
ways.
gonna ask I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah, go
What
for it.
what how did you do it? Like I'm terrified. I'm terrified.
Here's what I did, okay? And this is actually kind of a little bit of a funny story. And it's all documented, so you can find the clips out there. So
Uh,
we go down to Costa Rica for our first vacation ever, my husband and I.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to do 2 weeks. We're going to go down. We're going to have 1 week of vacation, 1 week of scouting, and boom, boom, boom. We stayed at a resort down there, which was a really beautiful Hotel Leah. I'm going to put a plug out there because they are just beautiful. The people are wonderful and the grounds are beautiful, and it's right on the beach here in Hako. And so I started StomaDad about maybe 2 months prior to that. And as I worked up to it, I said to my husband, I said, when we get down there, I'm going to go swimming and I need you to record me. So I have a, stealth belt. All right. I
Hmm.
don't know if you know about those, but it's like a waist belt that you can put your pouch into and it just kind of wraps around you. Okay.
Yeah.
And I put on a swim shirt because I'm not going to have anybody see this thing. I'm putting on my damn swim shirt and it's going to be okay. So I'm going to go swimming with the shirt. I've never done that before, but I'm going to do it this time. So he's sitting there capturing me walking over to the pool. And I'm doing this whole, and then here's the pool, and I will go swimming today. And I took one step into the water and it was so slippery, I fell. And I was like in the water. This poor lady who was sunning herself on the side jumps to her feet to my rescue because she thought I might have hit my head. I go back up and I'm
Oh my
okay.
gosh.
And I'm just looking at him, it's like, well, I guess I'm swimming now. And then by the
You just
next
did
time
it.
I did it. Next time I took my shirt off, but I'm always swimming with my Stoma belt on, my stealth
Okay.
belt. You know, I
Yeah.
I'm all about body positivity and no shaming. And we have stomas, we have bags. Yeah, poop goes into the bag, all that kind of stuff. It happens. But to myself, I'm kind of a little bit private that way. I'm not going to deprive myself of swimming, but I'm going to wear the
Hmm.
stoma belt around me just because. Doesn't mean you have to.
I
I think,
figured.
I've got this beautiful, I call it my evening wear black bags now. So they're all black, not even that skin tone anymore. So,
Yeah.
so I'm
See,
like, go
I
ahead.
have to wear so with my stoma nurse I was wearing the gray ones
Yeah,
and I thought those were cute and I was like I'm going to get one of the black ones when they come out and then I've been having some problems with irritation so I went to see
yeah.
the stoma nurse and she said you really need she said have you ever worn the Marlin bags and I said oh those are just the primitive those are just the in the
You just
hospital.
shiver.
They gave me those, and I said no, they're not even. You know, Hollister
Yeah.
is more chic, and she said yeah, but you really need the deep convex of the pre-cut. I have a trimmer. I have a central
Okay.
trimmer, so I can't really do my own cutting. Um,
Okay.
so I get the pre-cut
That's what
bags,
I do.
and I have to get anyway, the only bag that works for me is the Marlin,
Okay, I don't think I've heard of
and
those.
and
Yeah, I do
it's
Coloplast, and they work. They work well for me.
they're they're like the designer
Yeah.
ones, Coloplast and Convatec, and
The
I'm
Louis
like
Vuitton of bags,
they
yes.
really are. They're chic. I have a girlfriend of mine, a neighbor. She and her wife made me stoma bag covers. They take little fabric scraps and make these
Okay.
little bag covers for me, so I have them in different prints and things. So
Oh, that's cute.
that's what
Okay.
I wear because I'm short and I can't. I have a big belly and I can't tuck my bag into my pants,
Yeah, I can't
and
either.
so I do shirts untucked
Yeah.
and and you talked about clothes. It's
Yeah.
hard. I had to rethink my whole drag. I
And
can't corset.
I was going to ask you about that because I know as myself, I wear my when I was working full time, I wore my stoma belt because it kind of smoothed it out a little bit, and I would wear sizes of shirts that were too big for me, but they were big enough around the belly so it would cover the bag, right? And I see these women out there, and God bless them. They are just like, showing you how to dress, but they all wear their waisted, empire waisted kind of clothing.
Hmm.
And men don't have that option. And
No.
unless you're really super fit, like, 3% or lower body fat, there's rolls and stuff you got to deal with.
Exactly. And I follow, and there are all these like gym guys that are,
Exactly.
and who I'm talking about, like, and they and I love them and they're
Yeah.
beautiful
Well, they're gorgeous. Yes.
and but I'm like, you can wear clothes, and I
I,
just wish
I saw this
I wish
one
I could.
guy. Oh my God, he was just drop dead. He was on one of the little videos, and he was showing the different kind of clothing men can wear. And I'm like, if I look like you, I can do that. It's like I don't have that body. So, when you have these other
I,
bodies, it's like, how do you adapt your clothing for that? And then when doing drag, like you
I
said, with corsets and stuff, and even I don't know if you do the body shaping with the hips and the
not
weights and stuff.
anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Not
See, I'm like,
anymore.
how does that work now? Can you tell me what you do with that?
I'm just a boobs girl, and
Yeah.
I'm I'm just a boobs girl, and I don't do the padding anymore because
Okay.
I've got to be able to get to my pouch.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, there's the whole thing when you tuck and you control your liquids, you
Right.
know. But I have to be able to, if I have to empty in the
Yeah.
middle of a show, I'm gonna take a break.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it has happened. It has
yeah.
happened.
No, let me give you a little example of what happened to me, and maybe you can tell me if something like this has happened to you. So I'm an instructional designer by trade, okay? So I create instructional material. And I was holding a meeting one day with some management people. And I am sitting there talking and discussing a new course of action on how we're going to handle these new changes and stuff and move our education material up to where it needs to be. And my stoma decided to make an announcement to the world. It just launched out, and I just looked at everybody's face, and you saw the shock in their eyes, and then the smiles came, and everybody started giggling and laughing. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better because everybody knew I had a stoma. Have you had anything like that while you're on stage or anything? And if so,
Not, I
how do you
was
play it off?
very, I was very well. So I've had, so I wear, I have one of those little belts to
Uh-huh.
keep my bag on,
Okay.
because I have the convex, so I have to I have to have a little push pull situation. So
Gotcha,
I have,
gotcha.
and I've had that has popped off
Ah,
in shows,
oh no.
and I just take it and pick it up off the floor and just
What
wrap
can
it
you
around my
do?
wrist, or yeah, you just kind of go with, and people are
You
like,
treat it
"What
like a
is that?"
boa, something like that?
Yeah, there's a little something. So I've had that, but no, I've had at work. I've had my day job. I've had
Yeah.
as soon as a meeting,
Yeah.
we're in someone's office having a staff meeting, and I named my stoma Mrs. Burnside from
Ah,
Auntie May, and
great name.
Mrs. Burnside gets loud as soon as there's a quiet moment.
Oh my God, it's always like that too, isn't it? It's just like,
And after I have blockages all the time,
oh,
because I have an abdomen full of scar tissue.
ooh, yeah.
So I get obstructions often. So after an obstruction clears, then my stoma is quite chatty. And Mrs. Burnside has made herself known.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
it
that is
just,
just, yeah, having a stoma is a whole different thing. I mean, your life is your life. It's always going to be your life. And I don't know if this happened to you or not, and I'm maybe kind of going off a little bit on some of
it's,
the topics. But one thing I've learned after my cancer and after getting stoma, I have this fond appreciation for life and all life. I mean, it before didn't bother me to smush a spider or to, step over something or, something's in the house, kill it, and be done with it. Now I find myself wanting to save its life, like pick it up and move it back outside where it belongs and stuff. It's just this weird feeling that has come over me all of a sudden, I'm just at the appreciation to what life really is.
I am I'm still dealing with a lot of stuff, and I will say, um, I have a lot of downtime where I uh, when I'm on, I'm on. Candy's
Yeah.
doing her commit. I have my
Right.
commitments. I am out in the community. I just did a bunch of stuff for Pride.
Right. You had a
Um,
busy week.
I am. I do. Yeah, it's just been nuts. Um, but when I'm not on, I'm completely off.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find that balance because I feel like I have to charge my batteries
Yeah.
to 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 get myself out into the world. Everything is harder.
Yeah. No,
um,
I get you.
and that's where I'm at now. I know it won't always be that way,
Yeah.
um, but right now it's just harder to go to the store.
No, I
um,
trust me, it took me forever to get out of the house. You know, I mean, I went grocery shopping with my husband once. I looked at him and I said, I can't do this anymore. You know, I got to get out. And so he's like, what do you want to do? I said, let's go grocery shopping. And that's what we did, you know. And I wore a bunch of baggy clothes. You know, I looked like hell, but I got my ass out of the house. And that's just what needed to happen. And every step you take is a milestone sometimes, you know. It could be the smallest step ever. And it just feels like, you know, to me, every little step you move forward with should be celebrated somehow because that tasking came from you and your courage to move forward. And and it's not an easy task at times. And when you can create a community around you that's supportive, I think you have the tools that are needed to help get you there, you know? And being somebody in your capacity where you're the entertainer all the time, my assumption, and it really is assumption, is that most of the time when you're out and you're recognized, people expect you to be Candy and not Will. And so
yeah,
you
it's
have
true.
to be on, you know?
Yeah, and so it's there's some moments the other night when I went out, when I was mourning my friend. um those things happen, but I will say I do have a wonderful community. I have been very open on social media about uh my stoma,
Yeah,
the surgery, all of my health things, because of the work I do with HIV/AIDS. I'm
yeah,
talking to people about reducing stigma, eliminating stigma, and not having shame. Then I have to also practice what I preach and be open about my situation. And in turn, I have a wonderful community that
yeah,
really is supportive.
yeah. They're there. They're your foundation. They're that rock that you need to cling on to in those hard moments. And I think everybody needs something like that in their life, you know? It's just one of those moments in time. You know, having an ostomy isn't for the weak and weary. You know, it's
It sure isn't. It sure isn't. This has got to be. I don't think at times I'm tough enough,
yeah,
but
it's same here. And you know what? We all have those moments, right? I mean, the moments where we think we've finally gotten past it, and then something resurfaces, and the next thing you know, it feels like you're stepping
oh,
backwards.
exactly, exactly. I'm so there. I'm
No,
between laughter and
yeah,
tears.
and that's it. And I find myself getting a little moody at times too, and I'm really not a moody guy. I know I'm a Gemini, and I know I'm kind of hard to get along with sometimes, but still, it's like, your whole life has pretty much, I won't say it's changed, but it's taken on a new path. And finding that right path for you. One of the things that, I see a therapist, and I think everybody who has a stoma, gone through cancer, or has anything, there you go, see the therapist.
Yeah.
And I was been talking to her about stuff, and she looked at me straight in the eye and she goes, "Oh my God, you're like the poster child for post-traumatic growth." And I'm like, "What's that?" It's like you're taking all these negative things that people with post-traumatic disorder have, and you're finding the positive in them and you're moving yourself forward. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. and that's kind of been my secret. And that's if I want to, your candy samples, I'm Stoma Dad. And as Stoma Dad, I've taken on this persona of positivity and growth. And and it's not an easy thing to do. And there are times when I slip backwards and I have to pull myself forward again. Just for instance, just move to Costa Rica. It's pushing my boundaries. Whole new world, whole new everything. I'm living just outside of jungle. Okay, I'm used to going to the clubs like you did, girl. Okay.
Yeah,
And so even though we do have some of those down here, but still, it's just like it's a whole new world. It's not a vacation anymore. It's where I live.
yeah,
And that came with a whole new set of concerns. Where do I get my supplies? Where's my doctor at? Where's the wound nurse at? What happens if I fart in the middle of a Mexican restaurant somewhere? It's like all these different things pop up, and you have to realize that you can't grow until you push yourself there. And you can only do that when you feel safe and when you feel ready. And as Candy Sample, I see you out there and I am just in awe. I really am. I see what you're doing out there with the HIV/AIDS work. I see what you're doing out there being part of that community. I'm watching your clips. I'm listening to your record. I even started listening to your podcast.
Oh no. Oh,
I-
that's so okay. So the podcast, well, that's old, by the way. I did a podcast for 10 years and I'm gonna go back to it, but
okay.
I still have some episodes up. But it was just yeah, it's so archaic because again, I started podcasts when we had one. Johnny McGovern had a podcast, and that's what I based mine on. Which
Okay.
you wouldn't even think it was
But
related, but
you opened my eyes to something with that podcast. And I wish I could remember the guy's name you're talking to, but he just spent time in India. And we were talking about how being LGBT out there is against the law.
yeah,
And I think that's
Chauncey
changed.
Dandridge.
Chauncey, that's it. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
was listening to that and I was just like, wow, you never really think about that. I mean, I'm pretty savvy and pretty knowledgeable about where I can travel to and where I can't. I'm not going to spend my money someplace that doesn't want me there. So Jamaica
yeah,
out of the question, okay, kind of thing, right?
right.
But when you see somebody who has, like you said before, were able to take a week off of their life to go and do something to create change and create positive change, that's applauding. That's wonderful. And that's what you're doing, Miss Candy, is you're
No,
making positive change out there. You know,
I hope so.
you are.
That's the goal. So I thank you for seeing that, and I and let's both continue the good fight.
We're going to keep pushing until people are sick of us. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. You have been so wonderful and such a pleasure to talk to. I hope maybe we can do this again someday.
I think we should. I think we should. This is
Okay.
great.
And you know what? You need me for anything, let me know. I'll be happy to, help out and do what I can. And I find that I honestly, and I'm saying this from my heart, I find you as an amazing person. And when someone can go out there and deal with the issues that you're dealing with, that I'm dealing with, and you're still able to put a light on, and you're still able to shine that light and bring joy and laughter to others, that's something to really be proud of and stand by. And whether you're candy samples or you will, you bring that light with you. So continue to bring that light, okay?
Well, thank you. I will. I will. You ain't gonna get rid of me that easy.
Okay. Well, this is Ray, aka Stoma Dad, and I'm gonna say thank you again one more time to Miss Candy Samples. And if you have not looked her up yet, she's on Instagram, she's on TikTok, she has records out, she's got a podcast out, even though it's old, it's
Yeah.
still a podcast
It's
out.
old, yes. But I promise there will be new episodes. So.
And you got a documentary coming out soon. I didn't even freaking talk about that one.
Oh,
Ah,
well, that's what we'll have to come back and talk about that when we get closer to it.
and we will. All right. Well, this is still my dad, and I want to say just be kind to yourself, and I'll see you on the next round. See ya.